After Olympics controversy, Eileen Gu gets nothing but love at San Francisco parade. Each year, San Francisco's Chinese New Year parade draws hundreds of thousands to the city's Chinatown. For an event that draws eyes from TV sets around the world, the parade is typically a straightforward, uncontroversial affair. In this respect, 2026 parade looked like it could have been different. That's because Eileen Gu, the San Francisco-born three-time Olympic gold medalist in freestyle skiing, was Grand Marshal. The 22-year-old Gu may be the highest-profile figure to lead the parade in recent years, but she's had to fend off criticism, mostly from conservatives, for her decision to compete for China in the Olympics. But if any critics were in the crowds lining Kearny Street on Saturday evening, they didn't make themselves known. Instead, every time she turned a corner, Gu was greeted by a renewed wave of emphatic cheers. Onlookers craned their necks and held their phones above the other heads lining the sidewalk. Parents hoisted their children onto their shoulders. Seated in the back of a red Mustang convertible, Gu kept a relaxed, affable demeanor, smiling and waving at crowds seated in bleachers and pressed against barricades. 2 police officers walked ahead of her car. When fans shouted her name, she waved back, or made a heart with her hands. Gu, a 6-time Olympic medalist, is one of the most decorated skiers of her generation. She's among the world's highest-paid female athletes, with Forbes reporting she made $23 million last year. She is also a model and a student at Stanford, where she studies international relations. But Gu, who was born in the United States and grew up in San Francisco's Seacliff neighborhood, attracts attention for other reasons. In 2019, as she was emerging as a promising young skier, she decided to compete for China, where her mother, Yang Gu, grew up. Against the backdrop of growing hostility between the United States and China, and growing xenophobia in America, this decision has cast Gu as a complicated figure. Recently, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Chinese government paid her millions of dollars to compete in the Olympics and other events. In interviews, Gu toes a thin line. Asked by Time about China's alleged human rights abuses against the Uyghur population, Gu declined to take a stance. "I'm not an expert on this. I haven't done the research. I don't think it's my business. I'm not going to make big claims on my social media." This balancing act has allowed her to remain a media darling in China, where she enjoys celebrity status and the endorsements that come with it. In the United States, it's also drawn the ire of conservative figures. Tucker Carlson has called her a true villain. Vice President J.D. Vance, asked by Fox News about Gu's decision to compete for China, suggested that Gu ought to have competed for the United States. "I certainly think that somebody who grew up in the United States of America, who benefited from our education system, from the freedoms and liberties that make this country a great place, I would hope that they want to compete with the United States of America," he said. Gu, for her part, has parried this sort of criticism. "So many athletes compete for a different country," she told USA Today in response to Vance's comments. "People only have a problem with me doing it because they kind of lump China into this monolithic entity, and they just hate China. So it's not really about what they think it's about." In San Francisco, though, no complicated feelings surfaced about the athlete. Gu remains a hometown hero. At Union Square, fans standing outside the Nintendo store stopped in place as she passed, briefly cutting off foot traffic along the parade route. As she slowly approached Portsmouth Square, 2 teenage girls sprinted ahead of her car to find a spot to watch her pass. "I hope in the new year, everybody finds prosperity, health, time with family," Gu said, addressing the spectators during a brief stop on Kearny Street. "Make the world a better place in your own way. Pursue your passions. Do what you love and bring it back home. San Francisco. Thank you so much for all the love tonight." Gu was named Grand Marshal before this year's Winter Olympics in Milan, where she won 2 silver medals and a gold medal. Actor and rapper Awkwafina was Grand Marshal in 2024. Actor Joan Chen led the parade in 2025. After Olympics controversy, Eileen Gu gets nothing but love at San Francisco parade. The streets of San Francisco glittered with red lanterns, crackling firecrackers, and the rhythmic beat of traditional drums as thousands gathered to celebrate the city's famous Chinese New Year parade. But on this particular evening, one figure captured the attention and emotion of the crowd more than anyone else. Sitting in the back of a bright red convertible, waving and smiling warmly at cheering fans, was Olympic champion Eileen Gu, the hometown athlete whose journey has stirred admiration, debate, and controversy around the world. Yet in San Francisco, the atmosphere felt different. The loud political arguments that followed her Olympic decisions seemed to dissolve in the sea of cheers and waving flags. For one night, the story was simple. A local hero had come home. A star born between two worlds. Eileen Gu's story has always been about dual identity. Born and raised in San Francisco, she grew up skiing on the slopes of Lake Tahoe while being deeply connected to her Chinese heritage through her mother. From a young age, she stood out not only for her athletic talent but also for her ability to move effortlessly between cultures. By her teenage years, Gu had already become a rising star in freestyle skiing. But in 2019, she made a decision that would define her career and spark worldwide debate. She chose to represent China in international competition instead of the United States. To Gu, the decision was personal and meaningful. She explained that she wanted to inspire young girls in China to pursue winter sports and expand opportunities in a country where the sport was still developing. But to critics, particularly in the United States, the choice was seen through a political lens. In an era of rising geopolitical tension between the United States and China, Gu's decision turned her into a symbol of a much larger debate about national identity, loyalty, and globalization. Triumph on the Olympic stage. Despite the controversy, Gu's athletic performance silenced many doubters. At the Winter Olympics, she delivered breathtaking performances that showcased her technical brilliance and fearless style. By the age of 22, she had already collected 6 Olympic medals, including multiple golds, becoming one of the most decorated freestyle skiers in Olympic history. Her dominance on the slopes made her a global superstar. Off the snow, she balanced a modeling career, major endorsement deals, and studies in international relations at Stanford University. But fame came with a price. Online criticism intensified after each Olympic appearance. Some commentators accused her of benefiting financially from representing China, while others questioned her citizenship and political stance. At times, the backlash became personal and harsh, illustrating how athletes today often find themselves caught in the crossfire of international politics. Yet through it all, Gu maintained a calm and measured public image.